here. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday, March 26, 2022. We are brought to you by, again, RunDFS.com, and we are joined by the coach from DFS, Coach Talk. It's becoming a Saturday tradition. Coach, you look like you're in a different spot today than per usual. I tuned into your channel yesterday, DFS Coach Talk, and I saw you were in the car. You were on location out there reporting from the sidelines of America. What's up?
Yeah, how's it going, man? You know what? We were talking about it prior to the pod here, and you got to keep grinding. You got to get the information out, and I shared it a little bit in Kentucky, a little bit in Ohio. I think I went over the state line as we were doing the podcast, but made the trek up to Pennsylvania, and you got to get the news out to the people. They need to know what's going on. So I appreciate those that tuned in for sure, and it was a lot of fun. But now I'm at least settled. Dirk will join us again next Saturday. I'll have him ready. But I'm glad to be on here with you, man. I look forward to these Saturdays.
Andrew Lewis, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. Hey, last night, Trae Young led the entire slate in fantasy points, 33 real points, 4 boards, 15 assists. I don't know if you looked at the top of the scoring and assist chart in the NBA, but you might be surprised. James Harden, 65 fantasy points. He's been in LA for 3 days, Coach. We were wondering if he would strip club his powers to max heights, and he did. 29 points, 15 rebounds. 15 rebounds from James Harden. 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Ty Lue must have really triggered him with that quote. 30 points, 10 rebounds for Kristaps Porzingis on night 2 of a back-to-back after completely tanking the first night. He is becoming pretty Jekyll and Hyde, but man, the high end is worth chasing. Klay Thompson had one of those vintage Klay Thompson nights. AK was a hard ask for him on DraftKings, but 40 minutes, 37 real points, 9 threes, 7 boards. Luka Doncic 53, Jimmy Butler 51. He's questionable today. Have you been following the last 3 games for the Miami Heat?
Oh my gosh, I've enjoyed the Heat and following the whole dilemma there with everybody fighting. I don't know if your listeners know the whole story, but I'll real quickly. Yeah. It was a huge, on the bench scenario with Haslam and Butler wanting to throw punches, and Spoelstra started F-bombing everybody on the team and breaking the clipboard. Everybody's ready to fight. But did you hear, some of the stuff that was said was amazing. The reason it got so heated is Butler told Haslam the only reason he and Spoelstra had any rings is that they rode on D Wade's coattails. So that didn't sit too well with him. And then they let Butler know that he hasn't won a damn thing. So, it goes from there. So pretty wild stuff.
I think that quote might have been a little ball sack sportsy. I don't know if that was real. Miles Bridges, 50 fantasy points. Joel Embiid, 50. Jordan Poole, 45. Cade Cunningham, 44. A lot of par for the course scorers. Surprises there. Denny Avija, 42 fantasy points, 21 and 10 rebounds. But nothing else up at the top here was really out of the ordinary. One of the things we talked about in my pre-lock voice chat yesterday is I had the most broken projection on Isaiah Hartenstein. I kept putting 22, 23, 24 minutes there, and it kept giving me back 34, 35 fantasy points. And the subscribers were like, "Is this what is this?" And I was like, "I don't know, the algorithm, bro." And he hit about 35 fantasy points exactly. So sometimes my own creation knows more than I do. It happens a lot for baseball.
Trust the process, bro. Trust the process.
Oh, I had some of them. It was just like, it's just it's crazy. It happens a couple times a week, it feels like, where some obscure guy, like I had Trae Young for 60 plus all day. Anyway, it was a good night. Last night was a good night.
Good.
Maybe the prop streets. I think I had about 80% hit rate on prop streets last night. There was a couple of sour moments. The Rockets found a team that they were way better than blowing out the Blazers. So I lost a little bit of oomph for Christian Wood. And I think that was it. I can't really think of anything else that tilted me yesterday. So it was a really good night. Hopefully we keep it going into the weekend. Shout out to the live chat. Exit Screaming, Mockwall Nova, Scotia says, I have high standards, and yes, I might be a YouTube prick, but I expect greatness. Gunn is the one and only person I smash the like button before the show starts. I know what I'm getting. Let's go. What's
Nice.
up? Layla, Danny P, Cowboys Nation, Tone Loke. And yeah, that's it, man. It's a smooth little Saturday. So the plan here, chat, is to break down the DFS slate, 7 games, and then I'm gonna try and cram in maybe a 30-minute Prize Picks prop show and get Josh in it for a little bit. Josh, little family man. I don't know how Josh does it. School, kids, job. He's a scientist, so he's always running experiments. He's hiking. I literally don't know how that man has energy. Like I'm starting to believe he is a robot that just charges while he's, I don't know, hiking. I don't know, maybe solar power. I don't know, but he's going to try and join us for 30 minutes, go over some of our favorite props. So be on the lookout for that. And then hopefully tonight we go out there and crush it in the streets of DFS and Prize Picks. So let's pull up the breakdown screen. This stream brought to you by RunDFS.com. You guys know the drill. You guys want the premium access to the tools that I've created, the spreadsheets, the projections, the player pools, all that good stuff. Go to RunDFS.com. Get yourself signed up. Every pass comes with a credit towards a Fantasy Cruncher subscription. And just launched the baseball package. Get all VIP sports until October 5th. But the most notable benefit there, the entire MLB regular season for just $300 with a $100 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. That's essentially a $200 package with the Cruncher rebate, which you guys are going to want to use when you are MMEing for your baseball DFS contests, which hopefully don't get too much smaller. Canada pulling out, Ontario pulling out of or vice versa. Fanduel pulling out of Ontario, and they're hopefully will fix it. But I think people might be surprised how many players are from Ontario.
I'll tell you what, I have a ton of members, and April 1st, they no more for them, and it's just absolutely ridiculous because they held up Supreme Court the rule that DFS is a game of skill, not a gambling site. So I don't understand why Canada is doing this reversal of process. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't know the full details, so I don't want to mislead anybody, but from what I was talking to Rod is actually in Ontario, so that's unfortunate for him.
No.
But apparently it was a trade-off. Like DraftKings and Fanduel will be able to operate their sports book, but for some reason there's something that prevents them from doing DFS. So yeah, hopefully they figured that out. I mean, Coach, I don't know how long you just spent in Texas for this run, but were you here long enough for when Fanduel pulled out?
I was, yes.
All right. So
I was there then, so it can turn. I know.
Yeah. And Chad, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I was playing FanDuel DK full time here, and then FanDuel pulled out, but DraftKings did not, based on the letter of the law, the literature suggesting that DFS would be perceived as skill. The Attorney General kind of confirmed that. However, the Attorney General was not going to have time to prosecute that and actually make an action. So FanDuel, in good faith, pulled out. And DraftKings was no, we're not going to do that. And so FanDuel sat on the sidelines in Texas for a while, and it eventually came back. So nothing really changed. So maybe Ontario, there's hope.
I hope so. That's a shame.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Especially for poor Rods. Talking all that trash.
Oh, no.
Now when the Yankees are bopping the Blue Jays, I can't even talk trash. What can you do? Anyway, tonight, 7 games real quick. Kings at the Magic. Game number 1. Project starting 5 for the Kings. Davion Mitchell, Justin Holiday, Harrison Barnes, Trey Lyles, Damian Jones up against Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Mo Bamba. He's got hose calling 223 and a half total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the home team Orlando Magic's. Wendell Carter Jr. has a Q tag on him. He missed that last outing. He's definitely been one of their brightest lights as of late. However, Orlando, one of a couple of teams in full tank mode. He's officially designated with a left wrist sprain. He originally been removed from the injury report completely, but he's now found his way back onto it. Looks like he's closer to in than out, but it should be noted that he is on their injury report nonetheless. On the Kings side, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and Terrence Davis all on the out list. A lot of smart people associated with the Kings, beat writers, suggest that there will not be another Fox Sabonis game this season for the Kings here. So this might be what you see is what you get for the next 2 weeks. Hey, Jake. Man, Jake. Hey, Jake, appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. So, in the absence of Fox and Sabonis, Davion Mitchell has been really, really fruitful for fantasy, and he's gotten a price increase to about 6K on both Fanduel and DraftKings. However, the implied minutes and potential for him is still very, very great, and I do think this 6K-ish price point is not going to be enough to get me away from him. Trey Lyles is kind of like a discount Porzingis, man. One night he's going to pop off, next night he's going to let you down. In that last game, Trey Lyles actually lost minutes to a big game at a Chemezi Metu. I don't know that that situation happens again, and it was against the Pacers. And on the Pacers side, I think Isaiah Jackson picked up that mid-game headache. So it kind of forced the Pacers to go a little bit smaller because Terry Taylor's not quite. I think he's like a 6'9", 6'7".
Small forward.
Yeah, basically. And they had him out there playing larger, so Metu was able to get a little bit more run, and Metu's run was a lot more successful. So in maybe not necessarily a direct impact of it, but an impact, Trey Lyles got 22 minutes instead of seeing upwards of 30, something we had seen in a couple of games prior. So ultimately all year long, this front court for the Kings has been predictably unpredictable. Whether it was the Marvin Bagleys, the Rashawn Holmes, the Sabonises, the Alex Lenz, you name it, Tristan Thompson, it goes on and on. But Lyles, I guess, has a window between 22 and 33 minutes. I'm willing to go back to the well here and think that 30 minutes is a more reasonable range of outcome, especially against a Magic front court with a little bit more size, Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, and those guys. So I'm hoping that he doesn't lose more minutes to a career Chemezi game in back-to-back starts. And if that's the case, then under 5K on FanDuel, I can get back to the well here. I'm getting a 30-ish fantasy point projection, a little bit more. And then Damian Jones in that front court, 4,400 on DK. Overall, this is going to be one of the fire and ice matchups. Both teams are middling pace, not great offensively, but they're also not great defensively, and there's not a lot of big price tags to kind of steer me away. There are some contrast in pricing between sites on the same player, i.e. Cole Anthony is about $1,000 difference in price on FanDuel to DK, so Jalen Suggs still being out at 6K. I'm probably still curious. Definitely a volatile play, and Markelle Fultz is there, but Fultz is still probably not going to play deep minutes. But these are guys that can make my player pool in large filled tournaments. But I definitely think that I could almost core Davion Mitchell at this point. Probably could get up to 8K for Davion Mitchell if he's going to get these minutes in this type of production. So I still don't think 6K is enough for me to not be heavy on Davion Mitchell, but past him, I could understand a little hesitance on both sides. But I will say Kings have been hemorrhaging fantasy points to opposing bigs all year. So Mo Bamba and probably more likely Wendell Carter could have an optimal output. Coach, what's your read on Kings and Magic?
Well, I really like the value on the Kings side. I think it's a real key to building my squad today. I'm going to start out most of my lineups with, for sure, Davion Mitchell. I know he's going to be dead chalk, no hot take, but until they get his price up, I mean, he's getting all the minutes in the world. He's shooting the ball better than anybody expected. He's got a good assist ratio, terrific steals. I mean, he's just almost plug and play as long as he stays at the 6K number. So I think that's an easy play. I also like the guy I look more toward here is Damian Jones. He really is a good points per minute DFS guy, and he's active. And I Orlando, even though they got the double bigs with Carter and Bamba, we still don't know if Carter's going to play, but they're still giving up points in the paint. And I really think Damian can take advantage of that time because, as you pointed out, Metu really grabbed that extra time and minutes from Lyles rather than strictly from Jones. So I think, Jones' minutes are safe and his DFS points are consistent. So starting out with a 6K Davion and a 4-4 Damian Jones is just really helps buy up to some guys. On the Orlando side, though, Gunn, I'm not as confident. I'm looking at what the coach is doing there, and he's to be the Mavs assistant. And I know he's very player friendly and very just a real good players coach. And my feeling, think I mentioned it on our podcast this week. I just think he's really wanting to give everybody a look and make some decisions for next season. So, I know that Suggs is out, but you still have Anthony Hampton, both Wagner brothers, Carter Jr., Bamba, Okeke, Fultz, Harris, Ross. They're even giving Brazdeikis and Schofield a little time. And then if they dust off Robin Lopez, they go 11 deep. So I'm not confident in chasing after any of those points because it's so tempting when you get the 5-7 Wagners and the 4-2 Hamptons and then Cole Anthony's pricing being different on different places. But I don't want to dig down and just try to drag those guys across the line. So for me on this first game, Gun, I'm going Sacramento value and pretty much going to pass on the Magic.
Yeah, the Magic, really both teams, the Magic had a 9-man rotation without Wendell Carter and Jalen Suggs against the Thunder. They're a team that benefits more from losing than winning right now. So you might get some squirrely rotations from administration here. But I'm completely in agreement with all that. I definitely think that there's some landmines amongst this Kings lineup, but I'm just going to be rotating them, and hopefully randomness and is on my side from Fantasy Cruncher. Shout out to the live chat. Arizona Drama says, had an amazing night. Cash big. Rolled with my core three, Trey, Harden, and Clay. Man, oh man. Thought Harden was going to drop 80. Yeah, that's a huge core. Whenever your core is the top 3 scorers on a slate, you're going to have a good time. You just are. What up, Justin? Yeah. That's huge. The crown is tripping. The crown. What's the crown? I don't know what the crown is. The crown is tripping. Oh, is that like a Canada thing? They call the prime minister
the crown? Must be. Yeah, maybe. I think so.
I don't know. A couple boomers over here. We don't know. We don't know.
What are you going to do? Hey, can I throw something in real quick?
Yeah, what you got?
Underdog, just a short time ago, dropped the 5 main guys I was looking at all day, and when we did our main podcast, are still questionable. Mm-hmm. But we have the answer on one of them. So we don't know Giannis, SGA, or Jimmy Butler, or Wendell Carter. They're still all questionable. But the news just dropped from our man Underdog. Shout out to him. Brandon Ingram is out.
Okay, yeah, all right. So we get another day of CJ McCollum in our lives. I'm with it.
CJ or bust, yeah.
And I can get behind some J Val. Hey, Pacers at the Raptors. Next game on the docket. Pacers projects 25. Malcolm Brogdon, maybe. Back-to-back games rolled out for rest. Thought he was a full send today, and then a couple hours ago, we got a designation saying he's questionable for conditioning. So keep an eye on that. Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, O'Shea Brissett, Goga Batadze, taking on Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. Trent is questionable. If he can go, this is a Raptors team getting healthy at a good time as we get close to the playoffs. He's dealing with a left big toe hyperextension. I didn't know you could do that, to be honest.
Wow. Unless you're kicking field goals or something, I don't know.
A shoeless field goal, maybe.
I guess.
I don't know. That's every now and then you see a first on the injury report. That one is a new one on my bingo card. He's going to be considered questionable.
Toe and pulled it, I guess. I don't know. That's crazy.
If Trent can go, we might see our first glimpse of a full strength Raptors in a long time, and that could be a scary sight if that team gets hot at the right time. If they get some home court a love in the playoffs, they might have a competitive advantage for some of these players that did not get a certain shot. So maybe the Raptors are scary, but it's not scary. The Pacers defense, they have not been great since this. Really, they haven't been great all year, but even worse since the Sabonis trade. And this has been a target for me almost daily. They do have a couple of Qs in that front court. We do know Isaiah Jackson's out, Chris Duarte's out. We're looking for news on, looks like Jalen Smith. Let me open up the injury news and notes for the Indiana Pacers. And we've got Dwayne Washington is listed as probable, I guess. He's not on the injury report. Jalen Smith's questionable. Goga is questionable with right foot soreness. I think he's had that designation for a few games and has played, so I'm going to lean closer to in, and that's it. Chris Duarte left big toe soreness. Big toes are a problem right now, apparently. Yeah. If this game does play full strength, like if it has Brogdon, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, I think collectively these guys are pretty expensive individually. 7.5 for Brogdon on DK, 9.8 for Halliburton on DraftKings. This is one of the more egregious differences in prices from Fanduel to DK. Just $7,600 on Fanduel. I mean, when was the last time you seen a $2,200 difference in price for a guy above 7K? This isn't like a min-price guy that slipped through the cracks here. So quite drastically different. And certainly that $7,600 price point opens up if that Brogdon Q tag turns into an O. And then Buddy Hield, 6K on FanDuel, almost 8K on DK, 2K difference in price. So the Pacers might be a little bit more viable on FanDuel tonight than they are on DK. But I do think a lot of that's going to be contingent on one, your on Brogdon's status, and two, your thoughts on this game staying competitive. I believe, is this the only double-digit spread game on the slate?
No, there's one gigantic one.
Denver's. All right, so it's one of two double-digit games spreads on the slate, and Pacers have certainly not looked very competitive as of late. And then if the Raptors are full strength, we do get a couple of clickable prices on FanDuel without a hesitation. Fred VanVleet under AK might be able to get back into some of those high assist games. OG Anunoby was able to return that last game. He's less than 6K on both sides. We know 30 to 30 plus fantasy points at that price point is very viable. Same with Gary Trent, and then Pascal Siakam at 8,600 on FanDuel. I like that. One of my better projections on the day so far is Siakam in terms of floor to price to potential ceiling is Siakam and VanVleet. Siakam right now, I'm getting nearly 45 fantasy points at 8,600, so that's one of those very welcome stocking stuffers as a forward eligible guy here. So it is kind of a tricky game to guess pre-flop, but I do think if everything's fully healthy, I could be almost completely off of the Pacers for DK. I'd still have to meditate on a few of these names on FanDuel just because the pricing is probably inefficient. But overall, I think the healthier the Raptors get, the better they are defensively. Even though their defensive rating isn't great on the season, they really haven't had a super long stretch to be healthy. And I don't know. I choose to believe that a healthy Anunoby, Barnes, and Siakam is a tough wing and front court interior. And then Gary Trent is one of the league leaders in steals, especially steals per game, 1.8. So certainly not a matchup I'm expecting to be a great matchup if they're at full strength. What are you doing with this 11-point spread, Raptors and Pacers?
I mean, this game could really blow up on you in a bad way. I mean, that's the problem here is we just don't have all the news. It's going to be one of those, until we get news, hopefully we do before lock, I really don't feel comfortable locking anybody in because, Brogdon, who knows if he's going to play. And now if they're saying conditioning, he's off the list for me because that means if he does play, he'll probably be limited. So Halliburton, Hield, too expensive. Really, it comes down to, Brissett's still fairly priced at 5.7. Jalen Smith is good, man. I'm still surprised Phoenix traded him, but he's good. He's 5.6, which isn't a giveaway price, but I expect him to get decent minutes. He finds minutes at the 4 and 5, so he's in play for me. If Goga plays, he's been smashing, his number of late, and he's only 5-5. So I'm still interested in the bigs a little bit from the Pacers, but I do want to hear what the news is going to be because they could get absolutely blown out because they seem to have mailed it in. My thing is Gary Trent, though. Is he going to play or not? Because it changes everything for me. If Trent sits, the whole rotation changes. You're going to get a lot more Boucher in the midst because they don't just replace Trent with another guard. They just move everybody around. And Boucher, as we know, he's a DFS darling, if you will, at 5.2 if he can get 25 plus minutes. So he's in play. I like your call on Siakam. I agree with you, though. Having Anunoby back, he's their best defender overall, and it makes everybody else better. Barnes is a really good defender. And so, if they have Trent back, then I'm probably not going to even mess with them. I don't want to pay the 8-7 or the 9-2 for Van Vliet or Siakam. But if Trent sits, I'm with you. I think one of the plays, Van Vliet or Siakam, are pretty sharp.
Yeah, I think on Fanduel I might even get to both. But yeah, if Gary Trent does get rolled out, it seems like everyone moves up 90 feet. You see a Kem Birch starter maybe, but Chris Boucher is probably somebody, him and or Precious Achua could probably see the bulk of the minutes there. I read earlier that Armani Brooks got signed to an extension for the Raptors, so good for him. Good for Armani Brooks, former Bulls great, I think. Danglings and Mofo says, I'm tired of spring training already. Ready for the real thing. A Dodgers fan would be. Okay, miss me with that.
What kind of lineup is it? My God, their lineup is ridiculous.
It's okay though. Giancarlo Stanton hit a monster shot earlier today. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I'm fired up. I am ready for some baseball.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. What up, G-Man? OB96, Apone80 says the Kings coming in chalk on Fanduel. I could definitely see that. Short rotation, reasonable price points. 5, 6K is still not enough for the potential minutes going their way. And that matchup, of course, isn't something we're running from. Drama says, Gun, what about Boucher at 6K? Yeah, it sounds like Gary Trent being out would be the step number one of Boucher being into the player pool tonight. And then from there, you're wrestling with him staying out of foul trouble and, Precious Achua or somebody like that not
only
flourishing.
5-2 on DraftKings, by the way.
Yeah, he's one of those amazing ceiling guys, but the floor is certainly not the safest.
Can get stung. Yeah.
G-Man says, I'm not a Yankees fan, but I might go to George Steinbrenner Field for a spring training game. You bet? Come on, bro. Do it. Right now, they're putting out real lineups, right? I saw that lineup today. Aaron Judge was leading off. Stanton's in it. So they're putting out real lineups, so it's not like you're going to a spring training game watching some AAA team. So I think it's quality baseball. What up, Eric? Shauna in the chat. Pitching is still suspect, though. We'll see. For the Dodgers, yeah, I guess you guys did take a step backwards on Dodgers, but I think Kershaw is not given the credit he still does. He's still been a good pitcher, man. People are comparing him to his best year, but he's still really, really serviceable. So we'll see. Ingram out, Gordon out. Is that Gordon as in Eric Gordon? I thought he might sit on a back-to-back. It is Eric Gordon. All right, so good news for our Jalen Green infatuation. We'll talk about that.
I'm with you on that, man.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Cavs hosting the Bulls. Project starting 5 for the Bulls. Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, Javonte Green, DeMar DeRozan. Nikola Vucevic taking on Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, Larry Marketing, Kevin Love, Evan Mobley. 223.5 total, 2-point spread in favor of the home team, Cleveland Cavaliers. A quote came out saying that the Cavs would start ramping up their minutes to kind of get them ready for playoff level run. And in addition to that quote, Kevin Love started the last game, so that might be their playoff expectations to have Kevin Love part of the starting rotation and just play deep minutes here. If we go back to that last Cleveland game against the aforementioned Raptors, we saw Love start. He did log 33 minutes, and all of the starters, 38 minutes for Mobley, 38 for Garland, 36 for Larry Marketing, 33 for Kevin Love, and that game wasn't like that close towards the end. So certainly a good sign if you guys are looking for some safety in minutes right now. We talked about how some teams are tanking, some teams are resting for the playoffs. Well, the Cavs, they're not that guy, pal. So I do like the thought of getting behind the Cavs on a lot of stuff today. I saw Darius Garland's assist prop was below 10 in the prop streets here. So he's already been getting like 14, 16, 15 prop assists. And then now you might be telling me he could play up to 40 minutes a competitive game. Man, I might have to start slamming that over. But generally speaking, just a 2-point spread here. Bulls, they're regressing hard from that first half where the strength of schedule caught up to them. And the Cavs are also regressing in their defensive efficiency after Jarrett Allen flaked down, and they of course lost Ricky Rubio. So this was a team that was like top 5 in defensive rating to start the year with a little chunk of sample size behind it. And lately, it's been going backwards. 108.7 points per 100 possessions officially on the season. I'm actually curious with that statement. So let me go to statmuse.com real quick and do a quick query.
I mean, you can't take Jarrett Allen out of a lineup as your defensive stopper in the paint and expect to maintain. I mean, it was bound to go down.
So in their last 20 games, they have a defensive rating of 116.2. No, that's it says all time.
I was gonna say I would hope not.
No, I actually think that's true. Last 20 games this season, 116.2.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I mean, and put a little context behind that. 116. We're talking Rockets, right? We're talking that level of defensive rating. Yeah,
that is surprising.
That would be one of the worst defenses in basketball. So they're starting to get some holes that they need to plug. And then, I mean, you look at some of the scores lately for the Cavaliers for opposing teams, and we can achieve that by going to actually, we might be able to just click on this right here. What up, Obi-Wan? What up, Myron? Braves going to take down the Dodgers again? Maybe. I don't know. So like the Raptors 117, the Lakers scored 131 on them. The Pistons 109, the Nuggets 116. So teams are out here dropping over 110 points. It's certainly been a little bit different than the first half, and it makes sense, right? Like you said, Ricky Rubio, Jarrett Allen. Colin Sexton didn't last for very long, so it's not a stunning development, but it is a massive level of regression, and I think their low pace is kind of masking how porous they actually have been on defense. But man, you start checking some game logs, looking at some recent performances from a fantasy standpoint against them, it starts adding up, and one of the holes that, believe it or not, has been that front court. We were all over Evan Mobley's defensive prowess to start the season, but lately we have seen a lot of centers find success against the Cavs front court. So Vucevic might be kind of a sneaky play before our eyes here. So I don't know. I'm willing to get to some Bulls here, but I will say when the Bulls are full strength, meaning Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, the big three are available, they could absolutely vulture each other's ceiling. But I do think all of them are priced at a point where below 9K on DK, below 8K on Fanduel. There's certainly some upside built in at all those prices, and you could probably get away with 2 of 3, and that might be the rule I set in Fantasy Crunchers. Put those 3 in a group and no more than 2 of these 3, because I'm getting over a 40 fantasy point projection on the lot of them. Alex Caruso starting for the Bulls. He got a little bit of foul trouble last game. He also was part of a controversial stat correction. I like him today. They had that 1.5 blocks and steals prop up for him again, so I kind of want to get behind that. One of the things that the Cavs do struggle with is turning the ball over. The Cavs actually turned the ball over a top 3, top 4 clip in all of basketball, and Darius Garland is, I believe, top 5 in turnovers per game, and that's going to happen when you have such a high assist rate. But turnover rate for the season, Cleveland has the 3rd highest turnover rate in basketball, and when it comes to steals allowed per game, Cleveland is 2nd in the league. So a lot of steal potential for Alex Caruso if you're going to get behind his blocks and steals prop, because it's only 1.5 right now at several books. Coach, talk to me about Cavs and Bulls. This is not it's not an insignificant game in terms of seeding. The Bulls are 42 and 46. mathematically, I guess they would have a chance to make a run to the 4th seed. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not probable. But the Bulls and the Cavs are separated by 1 game, and since they're playing each other, 1 game is equal to 2 games, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I talked about this on the podcast this morning. It's funny that you brought that up about Cleveland because I did not realize that number was what it was. So thank you for bringing that up. That is sharp. But I've noticed and watched the trends, and their games are higher scoring. And I mentioned on our podcast this morning, this actually is my favorite game on the slate. And you're probably saying, what are you talking about, Coach? It's only 222 and a half. But it's an important game. Like you said, I mean, they can almost leapfrog each other or give themselves a 3-game cushion as far as head to head. We're under, 10, 11 games left. So it has meaning. Cleveland's playing their main guys more minutes. They were trying to play a combination of Okoro and Stevens for a while to try to help that defense. But all that did was lose games for them because those 2 guys can't score. So now that they inserted Love in, that's really not going to help their defense at all, but it is going to help their scoring. So I just love both sides here. I think you've got to really take advantage of the Fanduel pricing as opposed to DraftKings with the Bulls, and you can get to 2 of the 3 big 3. I agree with you there with Levine, DeRozan, and Vuk. I don't think Caruso's a bad play either. That's as far as I'd go there, though, on that team. On the Cavs, though, I think they're going to score on Chicago. Chicago's not been solid defensively. Vuk is definitely not very movable in there. He cannot move sideways, backwards, forward, or laterally. But other than that, he's okay. But, I think Mobley's a solid play. Kevin Love, if he's going to get 30 minutes, he's always a great play. He's a double-double. Lauri Markkanen has been on fire, and he still has the fire in his belly as revenge against the Bulls every time he plays them because they gave up on him. And then Darius, the only problem with Darius at 10-2, I just don't know if I can get there. But I like 2 or 3 guys. This is the game that I'm going to have the most exposure to, believe it or not, on this slate for the reasons being of just mismatch. I think they're going to take advantage of each other. I don't know who's going to guard DeRozan. I think Love's going to give them trouble because the Bulls have been getting killed at the power forward spot all year because they play small with Green and DeRozan. So, try to talk me off this one, I guess, Gunn. Am I crazy to think this is such a solid DFS game?
I think it's a strong floor game because it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't get like many 50s out of it. But I'm with it on floor, and I also think that there's going to be a very small chance that I don't walk away with an absolute boatload of Kevin Love if he's in that starting lineup again. 5,500 is just too cheap. He is heavily involved. 65 on DraftKings doesn't do much to push me away either on this Saturday afternoon slate. Like we said, he's one of those guys. If one of the plans, the subtle plans of the Cavs right now is to build up guys' gas tank in minutes, Kevin Love is one of those guys you want to see start stretching, being able to give you 30-plus minutes as we get into must-win territory, which, on the other side of the postseason. So Kevin Love is just way too cheap. So I'm in agreement there. May not be like 50, 60 fantasy points here for the taking, but there are some very, very attackable price points. I am curious to see Kevin Love's production while on the court here. So I'm going to use the NBA Wowie tool via Add More Funds. We're going to bring up Cleveland, and I'm going to, I guess I'll put Garland and Love on the court together and see what we get back. And I also wonder if Love's prolific rebound rate could maybe vulture some Mobley upside. But
well, it will a little bit. Remember, Jared Allen's missing from this whole equation too, and he's soaked up a lot of those rebounds this year.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to since the All-Star break here, and I'm just gonna look at numbers for Garland and Love on the court together. I'm not taking anyone off. Don't want to over dilute the sample size. While on the court together, Garland 42% assist rate. Kevin Love has a 30% defensive rebound rate. That is stupid. And
crazy.
and he's about a fantasy point per minute. So I do like the thought of him quite a bit. But yes, his defensive rebound rate is about 10 or 12% higher than Mobley. So a little bit of potential vulturing on the rebounds. However, just 200 minutes of sample size. It could go other ways with a little bit more run
I
here.
think they both get a double-double tonight. There you go.
Okay.
Should I call out the lock washer this early?
Is that what it is?
I'll wait on the lock washer. I got one coming.
All right. Yo, CP News Fly. I appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. You guys killing it on these subs. We are very close to a nice 6,900. We are 17 away from 6,900, which means we're 117 away from 7K. And I don't know if we can do it by April 1st, but make sure we'll try. So if you guys out there lurking, you like what you're seeing, hit that sub button. And while you're there, hit the like button because those engagements with these videos go a long way. And if you're looking for PrizePicks content, player prop content, following this stream, I'm going to have another live stream bringing in Josh, the mad scientist,
Nice.
talking some props. So check out that.
That like button, too. Let's get those likes up. What the heck?
Mox says, wait, we're going back to Caruso, steals and blocks after that. Oh, the resolve, a better must show. Goldfish memory, man. It's the only way. Zachary Arakilian, Jalen Green or Kevin Love. For me, it'd be Kevin Love. Marketing double-double. Oh, man, we can't have 3 double-doubles. We actually might get 4 with Darius Garland. There's going to be a lot of double-double bonuses on the Cavs here if we're all hitting. Just might though. Nets at the Miami Heat. Project starting 5 for the Nets. Kyrie Irving, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown, Kevin Durant, and Andre the Giant Drummond taking on Kyle Lowry. Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G, Buckets, PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo. 230 total, 5-point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. The Miami Heat have created a grocery shopping list of questionable tags as the day progressed. Victor Oladipo, he's questionable with right knee injury recovery. Duncan Robinson, he's questionable. Jimmy Butler, he's questionable with a right ankle sprain. Caleb Martin, hey, he's questionable too. He's got a left knee hyperextension. PJ Tucker is questionable with left knee irritation. And this is a awkward time for the Miami Heat as they have been holding on to that number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but now it's by the hair on their chins. They have just a half a game lead on both the Sixers and the Bucks, and they are within a 1 game of the Boston Celtics. So this number 1 seed Heat could very realistically drop to fourth in the NBA in a day or two, and I guess if they completely tank here, they could drop to outside the top 4. I don't think all of that's going to happen, but there's certainly a big difference between 1 seed and 4 seed. However, there could be some conspiracy theories about maybe one of these top teams is trying to duck the rights to play the Nets. But between me and you, Coach, I really want to see the Sixers and the Nets meet up in the postseason because that will be must-watch television. It might even be better than the product that they end up in the finals as well. But on this recent stretch here, Miami has been quite disappointing. They lost to the 76ers without James Harden, without Joel Embiid. They lost to the Golden State Warriors without Curry, without Clay, without Draymond, without their usual wrecking crew. Then they carried, a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter to the Knicks. By the way, they had a fourth quarter lead in all those games. 17-point lead against the Knicks yesterday. Knicks without Julius Randle, and they get beat by the Knicks. This is a tough 3-game stretch. And hey, weird stuff happens in the regular season. Stretches like this will happen, but the timing is so bad. And you talked about it earlier, that little sideline explosion with Udonis Haslem and Jimmy Butler and Coach Spoelstra. This could be a frustrating time, and this is a team in the Brooklyn Nets that they got a bit of good news with the Kyrie Irving able to play home games, and they're looking really, really good. I know they just lost to Memphis. Memphis is a really good defense in that particular split, but Kyrie has looked like one of the best ballers on on the planet. They get Seth Curry back in the mix today. They are still waiting for LaMarcus Aldridge to be healthy. Goran Dragic is back for them today. A little revenge narrative for you. Nets are a problem. They're 5-point favorites. So what are you thinking here about Nets in Miami? And I guess that big asterisk here is we don't truly know who's playing for Miami. You definitely could make a case for rest on night 2 of a back-to-back for them. You could make a case that they don't want to be number 1 seed. What are you doing with this from a DFS perspective?
I mean, there's 9 million things to unpack on the Heat here. What the heck, where do you start from a DFS standpoint? And, it's almost worth just saying, screw it, I'm not even going to mess with this situation, because there's like 6 different ways you can get burned. I mean, there's so many things going on that we mentioned, but I don't know how, it's impossible to recommend anybody here on the Miami side, because simply we don't know who's going to play. And, I'm with you. I don't know how much they want to position themselves to face Brooklyn in the playoffs. I know it's a little early for complete positioning there, but, there's just too many question marks. I will say this, though. I don't think this is going to implode the Heat completely. I know that this last 10 days for them has been beyond a nightmare, but it's Pat Riley, and I respect that dude just about more than anybody in basketball, and Eric Spoelstra as well. So I think that they'll get that inside the locker room. They'll get D Wade in there. They'll get the whole spiel of Heat, people, and they're going to calm this down. Miami's going to be okay. I really do believe that. Now, as far as this particular game, that's all we really care about for DFS purposes. I'm not touching it. Too many, landmines that could just blow you up. So that being said, let's go back to the Brooklyn side. It's, the problem for us in DFS now is everybody's fat and happy with Brooklyn. I mean, do you want to pay 11-6 for Durant or 10-9 for Irving? I mean, can both guys get 70 in one game against a Heat team? I mean, I just don't see it, man. I know they both project really well, but Curry's going to get some shots. Drummond's going to grab some rebounds. Dragic in a revenge game. I know it's a 230 total. There's some stars here. I think I'm going to pass.
I mean, they had dueling 60 bombs against Memphis in a losing effort. I think Kyrie's playing on a ridiculous level right now.
Out of his mind.
I'd probably say probably the more mathematically responsible thing to do here is to have them both in a player pool, and this for MME, have them both in a player pool and probably minimize the overlap because of their price points being what they are now. Last game was a little bit outlandish. They had 25 combined points from the free throw line, and it was an uphill battle. That's when you're playing from behind. Right now, I'm not game scripting the Nets to really play from behind, buying into this 5-point spread, and this could definitely go awry based on these Q tags from the Miami Heat if some of them turn into O's, because if they threw out a punt squad without Butler, Hero, Depot, Tucker, guys like that, and I think some of them will play. It gets a little bit weird, and it definitely could degrade their defensive efficiency as well. And if they did play, they might be obvious in front of our face. Jimmy Butler's AK today. If they are incentivized to keep that number 1 seed, go for it. Like I said, I think the Nets are the bottom of the barrel team I don't want to see if I'm at the top end of the seeding chart. But hopefully the basketball powers that be. I'm kind of rooting for the Sixers to take over, and then the Nets to win to play in, and then Sixers and
Nets. That would be a blast. I want to clarify one thing too, and maybe people are listening to us for the first time. And Gunn and I do a lot of collaboration shows together, and we do this one every Saturday. But I hand build 2 or 3 lineups. That's my thing. I'm a cash hybrid single entry player, so I don't look at things from the perspective as much as the 150 mass entry guys. So when I say I'm going to fade Irving and Durant, that's because, I don't want to pay up for both of those guys or even one of them in a scenario where I think that they could, get you 55. 55 is not going to do it. I mean, in this world right now, it always used to be 5X, you're okay. It's not. It's 5X plus 10 just to survive. That's just how competitive it is. So if you're going to get 5X plus 10 on a 10-9 and an 11-6 guy against the Heat in Miami, that's a tough call, bro,
Yeah, no, I definitely get that in limited bullets for sure. What up, Scott? Welcome to the chat. Shark in the chat. Zachary, Zach, I appreciate the love there. I definitely did not say peace to Osmo. I've only ever been a contractor there. I've always kind of done my own thing, but you should see my face pop up over there again. Hopefully in a couple weeks when baseball comes back. I love talking baseball with the crew over there. Greg, Eric, really really sharp baseball dudes. So it's I don't know how to explain it. When you're able to talk analytical side of baseball with people, it's just not something you can do with anyone. It's like a different language. So the right. Joy of talking that level or that side of baseball it's unexplainable. So I love being able to do that on here. A lot of my baseball content,
all about the numbers. About the numbers.
A lot of my baseball content on here tends to be solo streams, just because it's hard to find a lot of knowledgeable people when it comes to some of these advanced metrics and keep it I don't know, it could be boring and mundane, but yes, no, I did not say peace out to anyone. Milwaukee Bucks at the Memphis Grizzlies. Next game on the docket. Project 35 for the Bucks. George Hill, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez taking on Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Stone Cold Steven Adams. It's going to get you one board. What? A 232 total. Memphis favored by 2. It's been a minute since we've seen the Bucks as underdogs, but that's how good Memphis has been with and without Ja Morant. 15-2, 16-2 without him. Just incredible defensive efficiency.
Number one.
Yeah, it's nuts. Now, Milwaukee and one of the best players walking God's green earth. So it's going to be an uphill battle, especially against a foul hack heavy archetype player like Jaren Jackson Jr. But it also gives us a chance to project Giannis Antetokounmpo in a 4-quarter game where he might get some extended run. The Western Conference.
If he plays.
If he plays. The Eastern Conference, like we said, is right now being decided by half a game. So Milwaukee has every bit of potential to go out there and get that number 1 seed. They gotta win. And it should be noted that Giannis is not guaranteed to play. I think he's missed 2 of his last 3 games. They could be on that ice stretch, and like we said, they could be trying to match up with like the Raptors or the Cavs or somebody like that, and not see the Nets in the first round. Leave that to the 76ers. But also, I don't know if that they would play like that. As long as they get home court advantage, I think they're vibing. But it's also from a analytical standpoint, I really want to see this Memphis Grizzlies defense versus Giannis. The Grizzlies defense, they might have the box score might have sold them on how many points they allowed. But like I said, so many points in that game were from the free throw line that I don't know. I still don't think they get the credit they deserve for how well they've been playing. With that said, there is no Ja Morant on the Memphis Grizzlies side, and that's going to leave an opportunity for us to go back and grab some more Tyus Jones, who, much like Davion Mitchell, has really filled in really well in the absence of the starting point guard. But with Dylan Brooks active for this one, there is a range of outcomes where only 1 or 2 Grizzlies really see the north side of 30 minutes. Right now, I've got those guys being Brooks and Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think, could get to 30 minutes, but expecting him to stay out of foul trouble today might be easier said than done. Crossing up with Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then on the Bucks side, no Drew Holiday for sure, and Chris Middleton expected to play, but Giannis Antetokounmpo not quite sure. So we've got a couple scenarios here. We've got a couple unstoppable force and movable objects. One of the best teams in the league in terms of offensive rating, taking on right now the best isolated defensive rating in existence. There's a lot to be pessimistic about. There's a lot to like. There's a lot of props in this game I'm curious with. Just generally on the season, I love targeting 3-point shooters against the Bucks. So Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, welcome to the lineup. Welcome to the prop list. But not quite sure what to do with this one officially until the Giannis news does break. But looking at the blurb on Giannis via NBC Sports Edge, Giannis is officially listed with right knee soreness. And like we say, he did play that last game. He has missed 2 of his last 3. There could just be staggering rest to prevent him to play back-to-backs. But since they rolled out Drew Holiday with decent notice, I kind of thought that was them saying that they knew Middleton and Giannis would play, and they might start playing a carousel of rest as we get ready for the postseason. But I guess nothing's for sure until it's for sure. But I'm assuming right now that we should prepare as if Giannis did play. I think the spread being 2 means or is something that would probably be expected if Giannis played. I don't know. What do you know with the Grizzlies and Bucks here? I think the Grizzlies guard rotation is worth taking some stabs on in multi-entry. Tyus Jones, and more so for Fanduel, I guess. Tyus Jones, Dylan Brooks,
Right.
Desmond Bane is shot up to 8K. There's certainly some bust potential at that price point if they're going to be a little healthy. But like I said, the strengths of the Grizzlies or the weaknesses of the Bucks defense could be the strengths of some of these Grizzlies in terms of chucking threes. What stands out to you with Bucks and Grizzlies?
Well, I truly believe Giannis is really a 50-50 questionable. I think that knee is sore. I mean, he obviously has missed some games, and he's usually wants to get out there. So if I am going to put him in any lineups, I'm going to have a exit plan or late swapping for sure, because I'm not convinced he plays. I truthfully think if he plays, instead of Memphis being a 1.5 favorite, I think the Bucks would be a 2-point favorite or so, just because no Ja Morant on the other side. Regardless, of the Grizzlies, we know the stats because we do this 24/7. But I don't think Vegas is totally focused on, hey, the Grizz with no Ja Morant are going to be favored to beat the Bucks if Giannis is in there. So that's just sort of the reason why I'm not really comfortable saying Giannis will be in or out. If he's not going to play, I think Middleton's a solid play. His price is fair enough. It has come up, but with no Holiday or Giannis, it's hard not to go to Middleton because he plays that pseudo point guard. When Holiday's not in there, and if Hill or Carter are playing the point, it's still going to be Middleton with the ball in his hand. So I love that play if Giannis sits. If Giannis plays and he's not limited, I don't think he will be. If he plays, he's one of those guys, either they, flip the switch. If he's going to play, he's playing and he's going after it, or he's going to sit. So if he go, for him and then not play Middleton. I'm not going to fall. I think a lot of people are going to dive into this George Hill min price 3K deal. Be careful because Javon Carter has been playing decent for them. I think Hill, Allen, and Carter are going to split those minutes. Connaughton can play some 2 as well, 3. So not going for the value plays there that are going to be tempting. Brooke Lopez, people are going to want to start messing with it 4-7. Not real crazy about that either. But I'm with you on Tyus Jones. He did disappoint the last game, but with no Drew Holiday to defend on the other side, he's still super cheap. I feel very comfortable with Tyus Jones, and Davion Mitchell at those cheap prices. It's going to allow me to buy up if I, can go cheap on the cheap like that at guard. So I'm real high on him. I don't like the fact that Bane's price went up. I know Milwaukee's suspect to the 3. Bane has been on fire lately, so he's tempting. I don't really trust the whole Brooks Jackson, Adams Middleton group. I'm just not feeling like, you're not getting any super cheap prices. And, there's going to be some rotation of minutes, like you said. And with their defensive prowess, with this squad, Ja's not a good defender at all, and that's being polite. But with Tyus in there, they're controlling tempo, pace. They're slowing it down for some other teams, and they play a lot faster with Ja in there. It's night and day. And I think you're going to see, a little bit of regression on some of these guys. So it's not my favorite game by any stretch, but I think, take the value with Tyus, and then let's make that decision between Middleton and Giannis based on the news. That's where I stand at this point.
Yeah, pace rating for the Grizzlies without John Morant, 99. Definitely something I didn't capture because they've been so good and they've been smoking teams. But Tyus Jones, you mentioned maybe we wanted more from him in that Pacers game. Just 25 minutes, did not touch the court in the fourth quarter due to that extremely lopsided scoreboard. I think it's reasonable to suggest that he left, 5 to 7 to 8 minutes on the board. Thank you. That might be something that we throw back in the mix here. I threw a minute projection of Tyus Jones at 28 just to be safe, and on that number alone, I'm getting 30 fantasy points. I'll take that all day long, all day strong at 5K ish, and hopefully it builds from there. I'm curious if Giannis didn't play. You probably see Bobby Portis in the starting lineup with Brook Lopez, with Chris Middleton. So it certainly becomes a little bit flimsier of a lineup in terms of just brute strength like Giannis that can take over. I'd be very curious to see how the no Drew, no Giannis lineup does perform here. But I guess that's the big news of the day. Does Giannis play? If he does, I kind of like the thought of a game where Giannis might get full 4 quarters. And we mentioned Kyrie and Kevin Durant, despite them losing sizably, both of those guys offered 60-plus fantasy points and crossing past with a guy like Jaren Jackson, send you to the foul line. A lot of good defenses. You see it with the Timberwolves. Good defense often correlated with a lot of fouls because they're gonna bring it to you. So if Giannis can get to the free throw line, that's cool. Giannis, however, not quite as efficient at the free throw line as maybe Kevin Durant and Kyrie will be, but still some free attempts that get some points. We'll take it, right? Peter Bradley, what up, Pete? Says any status on Shea? I just have questionable right now for tanking.
Yeah, still questionable.
Zaire played 30 minutes last game on 30 down. So drama. Zaire started because Dylan Brooks was out that game.
Right.
So I don't.
Do not play Zaire. No.
Yeah. If Giannis doesn't run with Chris, Memphis will run them out of the gym. It definitely feels like an uphill battle at best. That's my polite way of saying that teams are outmatched.
I'll tell you, you hit the nail on the head, and we might as well mention it again because we only do this show together, so some of our viewers cross paths once a week. But we're going to talk about this a lot this last 2.5 weeks of the regular season, and it's no joke. Teams do not want to play the Brooklyn Nets in the opening round. They want to avoid them at all costs. So you're going to have teams in that top 4. Depending on where the Nets are, they're going to be trying to duck out of number 1 if they have to play the Nets. So let's just face it, it's going to affect things. And if you think it doesn't, you're kidding yourself. So, don't forget that in these bills, they're saying, just like Milwaukee's a perfect example tonight. Do we want to get, how important is it for us to win this game? Do we want Giannis with a slightly sore knee to play when all we can do maybe is get first and have to play the Nets in the first round? I know it's still got 10 games left, but don't kid yourself. People are watching that. Nobody wants to play Durant and Kyrie in the first round.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. So we don't stress. Yes, I agree. It's kind of hard to for players to see it in the players, but I can see administration doing it. Definitely, I think a lot of people want to. Optimally, looking at the Eastern Conference bracket, they're hoping that somehow it's the Nets and the Raptors, and Kyrie loses a couple of those games in Toronto, and the Raptors get him out of there. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Raptors could be going forward. The Cavs could be going backward. That could eliminate that range of outcome. And then, hopefully, we see the Nets. And as long as I get Nets and 76ers in the playoffs, that's all I care about. I have to see those basketball games in front of those crowds. Get Ben Simmons active. My goodness.
They're not going to let Simmons play in that crowd.
I don't know.
It would be insane.
Travis, I appreciate that sub, my dude. Welcome to the channel. Best center other than Nikola Vucevic on Fanduel? I could agree with the Damian Jones take.
Price per dollar, yeah. I mean, you can't beat that price.
Yeah, I don't mind. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is in existence. You are wrestling with a massive, massive spread there, so I can understand some hesitation there. But that might be enough value to maybe just take the raw
what about
points.
Christian Wood?
I do like Christian Wood. Yesterday, though, the Rockets found a way to blow out a team, and Christian Wood lost some extra run, but per minute, like he was crushing it. If he would have got some fourth
That's not
quarter
going to
run,
happen often, I don't think.
it's the Blazers are the
I know the
Blazers are
Blazers
bad.
are a G League squad, but it's the
It's
Rockets, dude. It's the Rockets.
it is the Rockets. If OKC games stay close, Jokic's going to destroy. I agree with that, Jeff. What up, North Rustic? Towns is in the house. Thanks, guys. Towns in the
It's a
house.
massive
Thanks, guys.
if, by the way, bro. Who's our dude in chat? That's a massive if.
Yeah. Hey, 160 of you guys hanging out. 59 likes. I'm just saying
59.
you can do better. Bam, 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 bam. Hit that thumbs up, chat. Show some
Oh my
positive
Coach
vibes.
Talk, folks. Hit the like. Let's go. 75 minimum here by the time we get down the road.
Hopefully. All right, Nuggets hosting the Thunder. Next game on the docket. Project 35 for the Thunder. SGA, maybe. Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, Darius Baisley, Isaiah Ruby. Taking on Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic. A 231 total, a 15-point spread. 15-point spread for the Denver Nuggets. I feel like it wasn't that long ago where the SGA Thunder kind of stunned the world against these Nuggets. So I guess anything is possible. Kevin KG up in here. But we shall see. The Thunder and the Magic was the Tank Bowl, and the status of SGA is something that you do wonder if administration is eventually going to say, "Hey, we have 85 draft picks in the next year to use. Let's go ahead and lose." And that's obviously they're not going to tell the players that, but administration can put out some lineups where you're seeing randoms getting more run. And we saw that with the Magic the other night. SGA is officially designated with right ankle soreness. We'll see if that is able to come off the books here for him to play. If he does play, it definitely makes this game a little bit more possible to stay close. But generally speaking, with SGA, this is already one of the most inefficient offenses in basketball. Without him, it is your guess is as good as mine. They would be facing the elements of the altitude against a Denver Nuggets team that certainly has reason to play. They are 43 and 31. They are 2 games back from the Mavs and 2 games back from the 4-seed Utah Jazz. So these are one of these swing teams down the stretch, the final 6-7 games, where a couple good wins from them, and a team like the Jazz, who have lost 3 straight. The Mavericks have been up and down 6-4 in their last 10. The Nuggets can go from a road team in the playoffs to a home team, and Denver has one of the best home court advantages in all of sports because of the altitude. So certainly plenty of reason for them to not take their foot off the throat tonight on the Thunder, even if they were holding a 15 to 18 point lead for the bulk of it. And then of course, anytime Jokic takes the court right now, it's another feather in the cap for his MVP campaign. So something to keep an eye on. I understand how this lopsided spread can spook a lot of people off of Jokic. Raw points are raw points. Right now, I got him for about 60 of them. And if he gets me 60 fantasy points on this slate, I think I might just take it. So maybe it's one of those do the opposite of the field things. But kind of seen lately these high-value slates, maybe more so on Fanduel, where you just end up with money to go take raw points from a position, and if Jokic gets 55 fantasy points and that wins the position for that given night, it might just be enough to make it live going forward. Let me check out the schedule. And then kind of like the Cavs too, right? The Cavs are out here promising deep minutes for their starters, getting their conditioning right. Some of these teams just might keep that in mind. Tomorrow, the Nuggets do not play. They play again on Monday at Charlotte. So it's not like you have to get some ice, get some showers going to get them ready for tomorrow too. So maybe don't overthink the blowout, although it is absolutely a realistic and potentially probable range of outcome. But it may not be enough to impact Jokic's ability to help you take down a slate. So a lot hinging on SGA status for sure. But Coach, what are you thinking with the Nuggets and Thunder? This game is at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's on an island, an hour between the Memphis and the late night Hammer Blazers game. Jokic is a pretty decent guy to have going at the end of the night.
There's no question that he is, and he's the highest raw points guy on the board. But let me ask you this: let's figure this out together, because here's my dilemma. if let's say it's 8:05 Eastern, we only have 2 games left the rest of the night. This game, OKC Denver, and then Houston Portland. Let's say at 8:07 we get the news that SGA is not going to play. Now you've got this horrific Oklahoma City team with Favors, Giddey, JRE, Williams. None of their guys are playing. It's Trey Mann who's trying to, spread his wings a little bit, and a bunch of G League guys. And all of a sudden now you think, okay, this game is now a 17-point spread, and Joker's not going to get the minutes. But how do you pivot off of him? What are you going to do at that point is my question. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's a risk I'm
There's
willing
no
to take.
other studs left.
I don't know. So I think a lot of times it's hard to explain because every night it does feel like we're getting dealt with blowouts, but like I also think they're overblown, and a lot of times we see blowouts or the fear of blowouts get people away from really good plays. And Jokic is just one of those guys that 1.7, 1.8 points per minute. Even in a blowout, you're going to get 3 quarters out of them. 3 quarters, probably 27, 28 times 1.5, 1.7 points per minute against this Thunder front court is just a little too much upside for me to stay away from. But I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Let me give you some sales points on this the other direction. Number one, Denver needs to win games. I'm with you. So they're going to play hard. So I got that. But as far as the MVP race, the Joker could give a damn. It's opposite. Embiid's going to win this unless he gets hurt. It's over with. So I don't even think Joker even cares about it anyway. He's not a guy like Embiid that's trying to pad stats at the end of game to win an MVP. So that's out of the question. Secondly, Malone, if you follow him, he doesn't like to stretch his guys out very much when he doesn't have to. And he's trying to position this team. They're about to get Michael Porter Jr. back. He was actually listed as possibly playing a little bit today, but they ruled him out. He'll be back any day. They'll get his conditioning going. And they still, there's still a chance Murray could be back for the playoffs from what I read. I don't think it's completely out of the question. So Denver's not a dead team. They're 12 games over 500. I just don't know if they want to risk extra minutes for the Joker. At the price he's at, if I don't get 70-something from the Joker, I'm going to be disappointed because I can use that way different places to help build it up. So my only concern is SGA gets ruled out, and I'll say this too, and I know I'll take a lot of flack for it, but I game script every game. As not a 150 max enter player, I have to build these teams player by player. And if you don't hand build and game script and figure out games that will blow out, I just don't think you're doing it right. I really don't. I get it that you can't let that be a big deal in the big numbers of the games when you're playing 150 mass entries. But when you're hand building, if you think you're going to get 24 minutes out of the Joker here, and he's going to give you 54, that's not good enough for me. So that's what I feel for this game. So that's the reason. Again, you can disagree with me, and that's what this is all about. I don't know if those raw points are going to be good enough. If I could move to a Durant or somebody and in time, then it's different, but I just don't see that happening. And so real quickly, I'll say if SGA's in, he's a fine play. If he's out, the only guy I'd even think about, in my opinion, is Trey Mann because he's getting a lot of shots up. And then on the Denver side, it's been the same song and dance for me all along. I mean, Highland's now priced up enough that he's not like a steal, and he's splitting time with Morris. I don't trust the rest of the guys except for the Joker. And if this blows out, you're going to see a boatload of their bench. So, again, it's a bit of a contrarian take, but it's if you're waiting for these late games and Denver murders Oklahoma City and Joker gets you 52, and you're going to be upset, don't say I didn't warn you. That's all I'm saying. Too bold, man. Too bold. You there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I thought I was muted.
I left you speechless.
No, it's. I don't think it's bold. It seems. How do I say? If I say a phrase, you have to promise you don't get offended.
Come on.
it seems dangerously short-sighted.
Yeah.
So here, for instance, the last 4 games or let's say last 5 games where Jokic played less than 30 minutes, 64 fantasy points, 50 fantasy points, 66, 64. 64 fantasy points or greater in the last 4 games where Jokic played less than or 30 minutes or less. Blowouts might be a little bit overstated, especially against the Thunder team, who have been hemorrhaging fantasy points to opposing bigs all year.
Don't forget, though, Denver lost to this team, so they're not going to catch him sleeping. He's going to remind them of that before the game. They're going to come out pissed, and it's in Denver in the altitude. This game's going to get out of control, I think. But let me ask you this: what would it take? What number do you need, fantasy point wise, to be happy with spending that kind of salary on Joker yourself?
I mean, on FanDuel, I just need to win the position. If Jokic is the highest scoring center, and if he does it by more than 15 fantasy points, I want him.
So you would take his salary over a Damian Jones, even if he beats Damian Jones by 30 points, with an $8,000 difference in salary?
Right. It creates a different lineup construction, obviously, and then in that case, It's not a 1v1. It's going to be Jokic and these 1 or 2 guys versus Damian Jones and KD or whatever. It becomes half a lineup versus half a lineup. But if the realistic range of outcome is for Jokic to win the position, dominate the position, and there's still a loose chance he leads this entire slate in fantasy points, 64 fantasy points. I mean,
64, yeah, but what if he gets that 50? Does that get it done for him?
I mean, he's done 50 once, and it's the Thunder front court, man. I don't know. I think it's a little dangerous to completely
I'm not arguing
dismiss.
He's the best fantasy player in the game. I get you, but I'm just trying to, apples and apples here. It's a give and take on salary. Everybody can say, jam in the Joker, and I get it, but you got to weigh it all out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in my early run projections, I actually have Jokic leading the slate in fantasy points. I think a lot can and will change based on Miami Heat news, and that will certainly sway things for me. But let's not
SGA news.
Right? SGA, yes, for sure. SGA could also drop 60 plus. But I just think the floor to ceiling ratio for Jokic should not be forgotten just because one of maybe a couple down games and to the Suns' credit, I kind of called them giving him fits and trapping him. But 67, 62, 64, I mean, this 64 against Washington just a couple games back. These are blowout minutes, right? It's not impossible for Jokic to lead this slate in fantasy points in 26 to 28 minutes. So I just think it's a little short-sighted to forget that Jokic is a bad
glasses.
man.
I'll put my non-short-sighted glasses on. Okay, we're good.
All right, we got one game left on the docket. This is good though. I love having hosts where I can debate stuff.
That's what it's all about, man. If we agreed on everything, what's the point of listening?
Yeah. Hey, chat, after this show, I'm going to do a quick prop show with Josh. Hopefully we get that in about 10 minutes or so. After that, I'll be in the RunDFS.com premium Discord. You guys can get into that. Go to VIP memberships on RunDFS.com. Find something that's cool with you. Every pass comes with a credit towards Fantasy Cruncher, and then you get access to the premium Discord. And every day, I'm in the pre-log voice chat, digesting news, chopping up some game theory with you guys, debating LeBron versus MJ with Raj, and all that good stuff. And then completely for free, if you guys want to get into our free Gundacker gaming server, there's a link in the description below. Several of you guys have jumped in this thing in this last month. Over, I think, 200 of you guys are already in there. Every day we're seeing incredible screenshots, incredible community discussion, and all I asked for you guys was to keep the vibes higher than the average gambling chat, and you guys have done so. So I appreciate that. If you guys are looking for a community that wants to see each other be great, I don't care about your bankroll, if you're balling on a budget, or if you are a millionaire, and we have millionaires in the RunDFS.com Discord. we just, you're welcome to be part of the free Gundacker Gaming Discord. Let's see what you guys got here in chat before we get to the main event. Arizona Drama says, give me Jokic guaranteed 50 plus compared to Jones 20. Yeah.
I'm not saying Jones is going to hang with the Joker. I'm just, again, like you explained, it's a 2v2 in that position then. So I got you, man. I deserved it.
No, I mean it's great. It's a great game theory and thought process. Dang Lazy Mofo says, "Yo, it's easier to fade on DK. Fanduel's a whole other story." I agree with that. Fanduel, I can probably get Jokic and KD, Kyrie lineups pretty doggone easily with some of their.
Let me ask you this, Gun, because what is going on? Why has this last 3 days all of a sudden everybody's $1,500, $1,600 difference, $2,200 difference? Is it FanDuel dropping the ball or DraftKings or what's happening?
I don't know. All year long, it seems like FanDuel has been generally the easier site in terms of salary restrictions or lack thereof.
It's gotten crazy, though.
Yeah. Coach, are you aware that your camera's off? I don't know if you know that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I did? It wouldn't be a show if I didn't screw up, right? What happened was I tried to reload to make sure that we got, let me see, turn camera on. We got the latest news, and I lost you for a second. I'm back.
All right, bet. All right, chat. We got one game left on the docket. Hit those likes up. 81. I think we can get to 100. I believe.
81. That's a jump.
It is. Blazers hosting the Rockets. Night 2 of a back-to-back. Night 2 of this very same game. Projects 35 for the Rockets. Kevin Porter, Jalen Green, Garrison Matthews, maybe. I'm not sure who would fill in. We did get note that Eric Gordon would be out. Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood taking on, I don't know. I guess Brandon Williams, Keon Johnson, CJ Ellaby, Trenton Watford, Drew Eubanks. Blazers have essentially been pulling their starting lineup out of the hat lately. Brandon Williams, Chris Dunn kind of playing hot potato there. Yesterday there was some panic, man. Chris Dunn was projected to be the highest owned player on the slate, I guess cumulatively. Yeah. And then as the slate progressed, it was announced he was not starting. Luckily, I was taking a nap and I didn't swap on that. He only played 19 minutes on his second 10-day contract with the team. However, those 19 minutes extremely fruitful. So some of those guys out there that might have had 80% or more of Chris Dunn that maybe downsized or completely got off of him were probably kicking themselves at the end of the night. Just
I pulled over to make the change on my phone. How's that for a kick in the shorts? Yeah, Brandon Williams was terrible.
Yeah, he was, as Josh said, not that guy. He was not that guy, pal. So yeah, it's a completely tough game, ugly game, pre-flop to break down. But much like yesterday, we can make the case for the upside here. This is two worst defenses essentially in all of basketball going at it. Two teams that are really not NBA ready. All-star levels of defense, if you know what I mean. And what we saw yesterday was that the Rockets got the better of the Blazers quick, fast, and in a hurry. And their starters did not touch the court in the fourth quarter. Jayshawn Tate, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and Eric Gordon did not touch the hardwood giggity in the fourth quarter. Christian Wood a couple minutes in the fourth quarter, but Garrison Matthews kind of filled around him there. And then guys like Dennis Schroeder, Garrison Matthews, Kenyon Martin Jr., Josh Christopher, and Şengün all closed out that game, essentially played fourth quarter runs. So I guess... do we expect the one-to-one same thing to happen yesterday? The Rockets were hot from three early on. Different construction here, no Eric Gordon, and coaching able to make adjustments, running back the exact same game. Do we expect the same game script of the Rockets blowing out the Blazers? Kind of hard to trust and believe the Rockets to blow out anyone. It was a tight spread yesterday, and still just 3.5 today. Do we regress to the mean or progress to the mean? Do the Blazers and Chauncey Billups throw out a different starting lineup today? Do we see Chris Dunn start to give them maybe perhaps a little bit more hope? All this is very, very possible. I think price-wise, Chris Dunn at 4,600 on DK. If I can get to a 20-plus minute projection on that, I'm feeling good. I think ultimately, if you are taking some stake in Blazers, especially that guard situation, you're probably going to want to be flexible on your toes later in the evening to make some changes here. But I'm still willing to just take shots on Chris Dunn, Ben McLemore, and as bad as Brandon Williams was last night, and he was horrific. He was horrendous.
Really bad.
There has been some upside in the game log, right? 40 fantasy points, three games back against Detroit, 47 against Brooklyn. He's looking like old. I remember Ben McLemore way back when. I mean, I'm thinking Kings McLemore. There was like 15-point games, random 40-point games. This feels like Brandon Williams right now. You just don't know what you're going to get. But what we do know is that the Houston Rockets are really bad on defense. They run a fast pace. So this could be a pickup game yet again. And there's a hashtag DFS, Peggy Sue, if you will. She's been pumping quarters into the Brandon Williams slot machine. Or you've been pumping quarters into the Brandon Williams slot machine. Then you get up now after last night, and here comes Peggy sitting down at your machine, puts one quarter in, and bam, all of a sudden 6.1K Brandon Williams gives her 45, 50 fantasy points. So I'm willing to go back and get some exposure to Brandon Williams, and I'm just going to assume after last night's performance, they don't have to get too much to be over the field in terms of personal ownership equity. So a lot to like here, a lot to be pessimistic about. Rockets last night, Christian Wood absolutely could have been one of the better plays on the slate. He's still about 8K, 8,500, Fanduel and DK respectively. If he gets more minutes in the fourth quarter based on the scoreboard, I think he absolutely could have been a 40-50. He could be one of the pushbacks to the Jokic argument, though he is power forward eligible. Coach, make some sense of Rockets and Blazers.
Oh gosh, I mean, maybe this is something we're going to have to ask the scientist Josh in your second show here, because this is impossible to figure out. I mean, do you know that 9 guys for Houston played between 19 and 26 minutes, with the highest minutes of anybody on the team as Jalen Green at 26? How the heck are you supposed to work with that and when it comes to DFS,
Yeah.
Who's to say they're not going to do the same thing? That's the problem. Christian Wood in a monster smash spot, but not if he plays 22 minutes, So I'm really worried. And I've been playing Jalen Green. You and I, for some reason, play Jalen Green all the time, and he's smashed like twice. Once I was in person in Houston to watch it, so that's probably why I'm, swayed. But I don't know. I'm so afraid that he's going to run back exactly what he did last night and play 9 guys, all 20, low 20s. I just don't want to bust on that last game, begging for minutes from somebody. Portland, at least you got a shorter rotation because they just don't have that many guys available. I know that you have to forget yesterday and go on to today, but how do you get 8 fantasy points? As in, I mean, I think
against
I
the
could
Rockets,
get.
You could, yeah.
So at 7K on DraftKings, I'm not doing it. Yeah, no. Keon Johnson, no. Ellaby, risk 4-7. Really, Watford and Eubanks are probably the most safe of the 2 guys of anybody on Portland. But at 7-2 and 6-6, it's no picnic. So, man, this game is a headache and a half. I wouldn't mind having just a small bit of, a one-off somewhere. I don't know. I am at a loss. I wish I could say confidently to suggest somebody here, but I don't. I don't really feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand it. I think this is the benefit of us MME players, where we get to just have randomness and exposure to X amount, because there's always ranges of outcomes for a guy like Ellaby to do well. But his game log has certainly been up and down. Yesterday was an up night. So I definitely think this is going to be a game I try and make sense of for MME. And then maybe for prop betting, in just a few minutes, I'll be live with Josh. And we'll be talking about this game from a PrizePicks point of view. And if you're wondering, what the heck is that? Well, PrizePicks has been an incredible partner with the channel, sponsoring a lot of what we do. They sent us that free box. You've seen the video on YouTube for that. If you're not on PrizePicks and you want to maybe get some action tonight, but don't want to deal with the headache of is Jokic in a blowout, or if the Blazers start Chris Dunn and Brandon Williams gets, you know what I mean? You can go to PrizePicks.com, get yourself signed up. If you sign up using code GUNDACKER, they're going to double your first deposit up to $100, and it benefits us, benefits the channel as well. So a good way to keep stuff free. So you can kind of do that right now. Go sign up right now. Drop a 20 bomb on them. They'll make it $40 instantly, and then come right back as me and Josh kind of go over some of our favorite plays to target tonight, and hopefully we'll make some money. You guys can join that free Discord and also get some group things, some group discussion going with the community. So shout out to PrizePicks for being such a good sponsor. Coach, we can find you on YouTube, right? Search DFS Coach Talk. What else should they know if they want to get some more of that coach content? You do Sundays. I don't, right?
Correct. And Sundays have been big, so really appreciate all of the gun fans out there listening to us. And Sundays now I'm doing a show with Deb. Deb has been a longtime member with us, Deb Lutz, and she's fantastic. So check us out tomorrow. We'd love to have you. You could catch us on, just search DFS Coach Talk on YouTube. You want to look at our stuff on Twitter. We're all at DFS Coach Talk. I am at Joe Sarvadi. That's JoeSarvadi. So we'd love to have you tune in anytime. I'll tell you, I know Gunn checks us out sometimes. I'm always checking you guys out. In fact, I wanted to apologize. I voted for Raj over you for the coolest guy on the channel, but I wanted to throw Raj a bone. You know how it goes.
Yeah, but, well, at least I can play DFS in a week.
Yeah, I know. Poor thing. That's horrible. But I'll tell you, if you want to catch two shows that are going to give you two little bit different looks at it, from hand building, single entry to MME to all the in between, catch both of us. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Gunn. I think he's one of the best in the industry and love these collabs. So catch us at DFS Coach Talk. Keep supporting Gunn, and let's get some takedowns in there and some great prize picks winners as well.
Yes, chat. Be back in just a few minutes with the scientist, man. Hit that thumbs up. Stick around right here. It'll bring you to the new stream if you want to watch some Prize Picks content, man. I appreciate you guys making part of my day, be part of your day. Tell somebody you love them, because I love you. Coach, I love you. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money while you're at it.